I am in Harford County, Maryland, at the Mountain Pod Trail, where on August 5th, 2023, the community was shocked by a horrific crime, and that was the assault and murder of Rachel Morin. Tomorrow, Victor Hernandez will be sentenced at Harford County Courthouse. I will be there. I was invited by Matt McMahon, who's going to join me in a trip down the trail to show us exactly what he learned throughout the trial or where things happened. Matt McMahon is going to join us. He and Rachel have a daughter together. And Matt, who sat through the entire trial, is going to walk us through what happened on that fateful evening. He's going to share with us the facts of the case, what transpired, and what occurred. He's also going to share with us some things that haven't been released before, until now. So I just wanted to thank Matt for coming out here and doing this for us. So this is the beginning of the trail?
One of the beginnings. I mean, you can start all the way at the other side too, but this is the most common beginning. It's where Rachel always began too. And I think this is different. I don't think this was typically paved before.
No, when I was here about almost a year ago, it was gravel.
Yeah, I'm wondering how far down it went. But anyway, one of the times Doug McGregor came down for the trail, we were walking down here and we just happened to run into a former neighbor of Rachel's. He was an older man by the name of Peter. Him and his wife used to live next to Rachel when Faye was, I guess, between first grade and fifth grade or so. And he told us that he actually, probably right around this area, ran into Rachel as she was going down and they were coming back in. And he was wearing a smartwatch, so he put it about 6:58 that she was passing this area. And since he personally knew her, he recognized her. They actually had like a quick exchange of, pleasantries. So we know 6:58, this is where she was.
And you said that Rachel grew up not too far from here.
Yeah, just right around the corner. Just, I don't know, a few hundred feet, maybe 1,000 feet tops, if you're going up to the trail and hanging on the left. But yeah, pretty much her whole life. She used to come on this trail with all the kids, I mean.
Have you seen much changes in the park regarding security and stuff like that?
That's a tough question because I don't come here anymore.
No.
When I was still looking for answers, we would see a lot of patrols. They did buy a four-wheel drive vehicle, kind of like one of those big golf cart type things, and they were patrolling this very regularly. But I couldn't even tell you the last time I've been here. I mean, it's probably been over a year. This isn't a place that there's no enjoyment from this place anymore.
No,
it's the same thing with Faye. Faye, she's never going to come here again. So, but let's see. Yeah, a little further down, I can show you some cameras that they installed. They installed cameras all along this trail that are monitored by AI. So if an attack's happening, the AI will detect it and call 911.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're being replaced by computers, slowly but surely.
The good thing, at least for this with safety, AI is monitoring it 24/7. It's like you don't have to worry. It's like, was the person looking at the right screen? It's
needed a break.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Or they're tired and they just, I don't know, or whatever. So I think it's right. I think it's good that they have AI for something like this.
And we see we're coming up across one of those cameras right now.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them. It was actually quite impressive of how quickly they found the funding and started construction of laying the fiber, because they had to dig trenches the whole way down here to lay fiber optics for these cameras.
Well, this was an event that definitely shook the county, nationwide. I mean,
yeah,
we just saw recently another attack on a trail down south, where the couple.
2 people were attacked?
They were, 2 people were knifed to death. I think it was
That's
in Arkansas.
rare.
they caught the guy not too short afterwards. But I mean, we've seen a number of attacks over the years that happen on these trails because it's just, look how remote this is.
Right. But one of the biggest pieces of advice that I would give to somebody is don't go alone. So I'm just surprised that somebody was attacked when somebody else was there. Even if it's a small dog, they look for an easy target. And it's like, if you have anything with you, you know, a dog, another person, even a kid, they're likely just going to pass and go to the next person. So I was just surprised to hear that. So it is a beautiful trail. You can see why Rachel loved coming here to run. I mean, even with it warmer at the trailhead, it's noticeably cooler here.
Oh yeah. And some of the houses are pretty close by here.
Yeah, and when we get a little bit further, I'm actually going to point out one of the houses, because one of the houses has 2 cameras on the back that were targeting his rear porch. But the corners of the camera caught Rachel as she was going down. So they were able to get an additional timestamp and also had more evidence to show that she wasn't followed down the trail. There are plenty of other things that showed that she wasn't followed. And I'll get to them when we get a little bit closer.
Okay.
I think it's actually that house.
And again,
This one up here.
I think it's that house. I can go back in my text messages because Scott Duffy, I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yes, I am.
Well, he came down here. He actually took a picture of the house. He was like, you should check that camera. And it turned out that that camera had footage. But the detectives had already been to there. So it's one of the things I found during the investigation. Every time I thought of something or I got some feedback from somebody, the detectives already did it.
And like you said, I mean, we're only about a week, past the date, and pretty much the same kind of weather. So the foliage would all be the same, just about. Fall hasn't set in.
You'll be able to see it a little bit later when we get further down. But the foliage along the side of the trail used to be a lot thicker, so it was more difficult to see into the woods. After the attack, they went through and cut all that down. So you might still see evidence that it's cut down. But from a brisk pace, starting at the trailhead, it's 11 minutes to the attack location. So we assumed that Rachel would be, going at a brisk pace. She didn't come for leisurely walks, but we also do know that she was exchanging texts back and forth between her kids as she was going down the trail as well. Faye was actually the last person to communicate with her. Faye sent her a text message. Then Rachel responded, and I think it was probably maybe about 4 minutes after that is when she was attacked. I was so grateful to learn that there was a gap between Rachel's response and the attack, because I was worried that she had been distracted sending a text to Faye, and I didn't want Faye to make that connection, but luckily that wasn't the case.
You can imagine. Most of us can only imagine the pain and the suffering.
Well, tomorrow you won't need to imagine as much, because you're going to hear and see a lot of that pain with the impact statements.
Yes, tomorrow is the sentencing for the suspect. That's not a suspect anymore, he's been convicted.
Yeah. He's the guy. I think one thing that you'll probably notice, especially now that I'm saying it, is he's very cowardly. When he walks into the courtroom, he almost never looks at the gallery. He usually looks down. So he's clearly somebody who's only tough when he's around somebody that he perceives as weaker and it's a one-on-one situation. I mean, he's not a tough guy. can't wait for him to get in prison and actually meet real tough guys. One of the dangers about this type of trail is it's a one-way trail. It's not a loop. So one of the things an attacker can do is they can pay attention to everybody going out, and then they know who to expect coming back. So
Right.
they can have a very good idea if they have an attack window. In a loop, you don't have that. So
Right.
loops
Yeah, and
are
they can
definitely
size
safer.
somebody up too.
Yeah. Although he got Rachel on the way out, as she was going out on her run, not on the way back.
So he was. I'm sorry.
But he likely knew that he had a gap. So,
Do you think that he was in the park before and
oh,
might
absolutely.
have seen Rachel before and then kind of waited?
I completely believe that he did not target Rachel specifically. I think it was completely an attack of opportunity. She fit the profile for the type of person that he wanted to attack. And we do know, matter of factly, that he was. Okay. We do know, matter of factly, that he was laying in wait in the bushes watching women run by. There's this one woman that refused to speak directly to the police because, well, she came to the country legally, but then her visa expired, and she was worried that if she spoke to the police, that she might get deported. But she, this was, I think, January 2024, I was told that she had seen somebody lurking in the woods, even exposing himself 3 times between, I think it was April and July of 2023. And she described the guy as being darker complexion, a hoodie with the hood up, and jeans and sunglasses. But when I was told that, I immediately knew that was the guy who did it, because we know from a witness that day that, well, probably about 2 minutes before Rachel was attacked, that's what he was wearing here. So so we know that he was coming down here watching women go by.
Right. And I remember when you were on the show twice. We had you before, and we discussed the fact that when the police were looking for information about how difficult it was going to be to try to find some information from the immigrant community, because if you're here illegally, there's a chance that you are not going to talk to the police. You didn't trust them.
Yeah.
You were worried about being deported, and some of that is probably true in this case in a lot of ways, and especially after hearing that story.
Right. I did not have direct contact with her. I had a mutual friend, a friend that I knew that had direct contact, so there was some back and forth, but I could never make that connection between her and the sheriff's department directly. And I was trying to impress upon her that she may know information that she doesn't even know is important. And that's why it was important for her to speak with them directly. She kept giving information that she thought was relevant, but you don't always know if you know something that's relevant. So, thankfully, they caught him without her information. We're actually getting pretty close to another key area.
Okay.
It's actually right around the guy where he came around the bend there. There's a gentleman by the name of Kyle. He was actually probably the last person to legitimately see Rachel before she was attacked, because he looked back as Rachel was running past her, because he had already seen Victor in the woods and it spooked him, but he didn't say anything to Rachel. So he was looking back and saw Victor in the woods going in the direction of the attack location.
And I'm sure there were others that just never come forward, especially after finding out what happened.
Yeah, I think the difference with Kyle, though, is that he saw Victor and he was spooked by Victor, And then he saw Rachel about 1 minute walk from the attack location and didn't say anything. So I know that he feels a lot of guilt, but he shouldn't feel guilt because, one, you can't see the future, and two, it's not normal to expect that you're going to encounter somebody as evil as Victor. Right. I mean, it's like, that's, all these people, these are normal people. I'd be willing to bet all of them are good people. Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, people are worried about the backlash if they're wrong, right?
Yeah.
If they say something, and it pans out that it has nothing to do with anything, people get a little nervous about that because we see what has happened, especially on social media, when people have published things, because we saw some, unlike, just about any other case, you see some craziness on social media about these cases that are making major news.
Yeah. We can see it a little bit better when we go down, but it was in these woods, this little bend right there, that Kyle saw Victor.
In here?
In those, and you can see it better when we go around the loop.
Okay.
This little stream, you'll see in a second. You can see a little bit of it. The bridge goes over it. Mm-hmm. That's the stream that goes through the tunnel.
You can hear the cars because you're getting close to a major road, right?
Yeah, that's Route 24. It's connecting to Route 1, just probably not even a mile up the road. That made me happy. She's listening to music, just playing on her phone and not earbuds.
Right, and that was, you were talking about, suggestions for safety, right? So you were talking about, going with somebody else, of course, and now we just pointed out something else for people, right? I mean, those AirPods, distraction,
Yeah.
Can't hear anything. I mean, they have the noise canceling. So yeah, play your music out loud when you're running.
Yeah, nobody's going to be mad at you.
No.
Yeah, made me happy. But yeah, Rachel always ran with her AirPods in, and that's also one of the ways that they were able to capture the exact moment of the attack, because I didn't know this because I've never owned AirPods, but when you take one of them out, the music automatically pauses. So when she was running, not only do they instantly see a change in her vitals since she was using the health app on her iPhone, but the music also immediately paused. One of them came flying out, which they never recovered that one.
There's the fork in the road here.
And that is the escape route.
This is the where.
Yeah, we can go up that a little bit later. That's also, we know that's the escape route, not only because that leads to the neighborhood of where he was living, but near the end of this path, near the parking lot up there, that's where they found the shovel. There was a shovel about 10 yards off the path. It was a black shovel with an orange stripe around it. And the reason we know that was him is because when Kyle was over here and saw him, he thought that the person he saw in the woods had a thick black walking stick with an orange stripe around it. And it ended up just being that he had a shovel with him. So if you see a picture of the shovel, you instantly know that's what Kyle saw Victor holding. So that's not a normal thing to have on this trail, is carrying a shovel.
No.
Yeah, they used to have shrubbery just overgrowing all of this, or weeds or stickers. They chopped it all down. So obviously I don't know the exact location that he saw Victor, because I didn't come back out here with Kyle, but I have seen a photo. But right in this general area is where he saw Victor in the woods, and the only reason he even saw him is Victor stepped on a stick and it cracked, and then he looked over, saw him for a split second, got creeped out, and then he kept going. Kyle said that when he stepped on it and he looked over, Victor just froze like he was caught. Yeah. And this bend right there, that's where she was attacked, at this bend.
This bend right here?
Yeah, and if you think about it, and the detectives agree with this, this was the perfect attack location because you can see both ways. You know that you have an opening.
And the investigators believe that she was attacked going this way, going up where we're walking now?
We know that she was because Kyle passed her.
Gotcha.
And we have the exact time of the attack too. And I don't know exactly which way, but I imagined it was this way. They said they found her Apple Watch that was smashed on both sides, 49 feet from this tunnel right here that goes under the path. So I'm assuming it's that direction. It didn't just fall off her wrist or fling off during the struggle, just because both sides were completely smashed. And Victor's DNA was on it. So he clearly smashed it, took it with him, and then chucked it. So they said 49 feet. So if we had a tape measure, we could probably get a really good idea of where it was.
Yes.
But if we go to this corner, you'll see that you can see both ways pretty far.
So right about here?
Yeah. Because that's where she was dragged, right down there. She was dragged by her wrists, and we know that because of bruising on her wrists.
And through the water?
Around
or above?
to the left. No, not into the water. We can follow the path.
Which way you want to go?
You want to go to the path? The tunnel? The tunnel's right there. If it was fall, you'd see the tunnel. But since you have foliage, you can't see it.
Okay.
Which again, makes this the perfect attack location, because you can see both ways. And then when you take her back here, nobody can see you.
Right, especially when you said before, this was pretty much still a lot of foliage around here and kind of secrecy.
Yeah.
Just what, just step there?
So that also reinforces the notion that he had been stalking this place. He didn't just run into her, because this is the perfect attack location. Not only attack her there, but where to take her. So this was absolutely premeditated. He had a plan. He was just waiting for somebody to walk into his web. And we know this is the way that he took her, because there were varying size of droplets of blood. Some of the rocks had bigger amounts of blood going from there all the way back to the tunnel. The man who found her, I believe his name was Evan, after he found her, he went back to the trail and waited for the police to show up. And he said when he was standing there, he looked around, he could see blood splatter like somebody had flicked it with a toothbrush. So the brutal attack started right there. From what I remember from the trial, it sounded like she instantly went unconscious, but then regained consciousness as she was being dragged, fought back, and then he attacked her more, and she went unconscious more again. And on rocks and the stickers, they did get more blood and hair. This isn't an easy walk.
Nope.
I mean, so it's like, it's difficult to imagine how he was able to actually get Rachel from there to here so quickly. You know, even unconscious, that's, I think, a pretty big challenge. And this is the tunnel. 24 feet in is where Rachel was. She was on the right side, kind of like propped up. He left her just exactly how she was when he was done. And then 19 feet in, there was a pile of human shit. So it looks like after he was done doing what he was doing, he just took a shit 5 feet from her. There's no remorse. He didn't care. We can go in a little more if you like. It's your decision.
No, I think we...
Okay. And they found, you see the water at the end?
Yes.
That's where they found Rachel's broken phone. So he took her phone, he clearly smashed it on the tunnel because it was kind of bent. Luckily the bend was on the battery side, not the side that has the logic board. The logic board is the main board inside a cell phone that contains all the memory, and that's basically what the cell phone is. Everything else is just a gadget attached to it, like the camera or the screen. So if you have that intact, you can rebuild the phone, and that's exactly what they did. But they found it in the water down there, so he cracked it and then went all the way down there to throw it in the water to try to get rid of it.
And then took her watch with him, and ditched it back
that
there.
way, right?
So he knew something about technology and how it was going to be used to track
Well,
the whereabouts.
maybe not. I know that Richard was really worried and he was texting and calling repeatedly. So it could have also been that he realized people were trying to get in touch with her and he wanted to stop that. Maybe it was just that maybe he broke it because he didn't want to be interrupted anymore. I'm not going to give him any credit for being smart.
Was there anything that happened in the trial that you were kind of like you didn't know ahead of time, or it was just or they pretty much prepped you for what the worst was going to happen?
No, I knew most of what had happened. I didn't know all of the details about the attack and bringing her back here. One of the biggest questions I had was, how did he get her from the trail to here? Because it's no small feat to do that, conscious or unconscious, but he did it, and he did it very quickly. But now I know he attacked her. I know there's different theories about how the initial attack went down. Allison Healy does not think that the shovel was used in the attack. That's what I've heard. I think possibly the initial attack was him hitting her on the back of the head with it, because there was a lot of damage on the back of her head. He was also smashing the back of her head against the concrete tunnel. So it's hard to tell, because was the damage from the initial attack or him smashing her head against the concrete tunnel. But he brought the shovel down here for a reason. There's no way he carried it through this neighborhood. There's a gardening shed up the hill that's in the woods. I personally think that's where he found it from, because you would look weird carrying a shovel through the neighborhood. He didn't bring it for no reason.
Yeah.
I did not know about the shovel until the trial.
Someone looked like they had left some flowers at one point there.
Yeah, there's been, around Christmas, there was holly here, So people do come down here and leave stuff. So the whole attack was 4 to 6 minutes. And that's something that's tough to wrap your head around, is that 4 to 6 minutes from there to here to having her dead or dying. I mean, think about the brutality he had to have been unleashing to do all of that in 4 to 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Only a monster is capable of doing that.
And somebody who knew the area well, because he knew that this was here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you can't see the trail at all.
No.
Nobody can see you. That's going to obscure any sound when you're in here. This also just directs sound in one direction too. So unless you're in a perfect spot, you're probably not going to hear any sound coming from the tunnel either.
No.
He definitely staked this place out. There's no doubt about it.
I'm going to stop it.
Well, you were a sergeant.
Yes.
So you may agree that this is unusual, but the sergeant from homicide, the night between the 5th and the 6th, he checked his email at 3 a.m. And that's when he saw the report about Rachel being missing. He immediately called the detective on call, who ended up being Detective Golden, the lead detective for this, told him to get on it. And Detective Golden was then in the office at 4 a.m. So that's when they started working on this. The reason that's significant is the night of the 6th, there was a major thunderstorm here. They finished up processing the crime scene 2 hours before the thunderstorm hit. if he didn't check his email at 3 a.m., who knows what kind of evidence we would have lost.
Right, could have washed away the blood and everything else that goes along with it. Plus, you know, the creek probably swelled and taken anything with
it. Was a thunderstorm. It wasn't a rain. I mean, just a little rain. So it's little things like that, I think, led to the break in the case.
Some good police work there.
Yeah, I mean, well, he even said he never checks his email in the middle of the night. He just happened to check it, and he instantly knew this missing person needed special attention.
Yep, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, Rachel's second oldest daughter, she was the first witness in the trial. She was so scared about Rachel being missing because she went for a run and never came home, that in the middle of the night she came here with Richard Tobin and one of hers and Faye's friends, and they walked the whole trail in the middle of the night looking for Rachel.
Amazing.
13-year-old, I mean.
Like I said, you just can't imagine what they had to go through.
Yeah.
And what you've been through.
I don't care anything I've gone through. For me, it's all about the kids.
Does this creek have a name? Or is it just a...
I'm drawing a blank on the name. It does have a name. Heavenly Waters.
So when you think about it, this is his vantage point right here on the bend.
Well, in hearing the testimony from Kyle, when he looked back from that spot above the switchback, he saw Victor walking back. So he may have been in the woods when Rachel ran by, then ran out. I initially thought he was just sitting here waiting for her to pass, but it looks like he just came up behind her. But he clearly had this, I mean, anybody with common sense, you don't even have to be a detective to see how perfect of an attack location that is.
So what are we looking at here, Matt?
This is a side trail from the Mon Pa Trail that goes up to an old mansion called the Liriodendron. So up this path, I think it's about a 4-minute walk up the path, 3-minute walk down because it's a steep path. There's a big parking lot, and on the other side of that parking lot are where the houses start for the neighborhood Victor was in.
Gotcha.
At the end of the path, 10 yards into the woods, is where they recovered the shovel. Unfortunately, they didn't recover the shovel until about a week later, and by that point there had been 2 thunderstorms, so they did not, forensics did not find anything. They didn't find traces of blood, DNA, or anything on it.
So this is the Harford County Detention Center where Victor is currently staying, waiting sentencing tomorrow before they send him to Maryland State Prison. I am standing outside the Harford County Courthouse where tomorrow Victor Hernandez will be sentenced in the rape and murder of Rachel Morin. I was invited by Matt McMahon to sit with the family, and I will be watching the sentencing and the impact statements. And I'll be reporting on what I observed in the courthouse afterwards or at a later date. Keep Rachel in mind tomorrow as her killer is finally sentenced.